can't say much right now. We sit on the floor.
Okay.
Sir, welcome to our special October meeting to review the certificate of appropriateness for 101 South Main.
Correct.
And but first, I need to do a roll call. And I think the only person that's missing is Chris. Chris Lindsay's here. Hope you're feeling better.
Close, yes, sir.
There's an explanation for Mr. Irvin. He apologizes to the other board members for not being able to be present tonight. I'll break. So,
Yeah, he's at the beach then. We need to go around through roll call.
Yes.
Frank Feinstein, I'm here.
Lindsay Barrier, I'm here.
Anna Morency here.
Alan Lindbergh here.
Don Dotson, here.
Jacqueline Greenberry, here.
Sir, you want me to send the invitation?
I will. We bow with us, pray. Dear gracious God, we come to you tonight, Lord, so thankful for this day that you've given us. Thank you for allowing us to travel here safely. Father, we come before you tonight, discussion of business pertaining to the city of Mount Pleasant and its history, Father, and we just pray that you guide and direct all conversation that takes place here, the decisions that are made, let it be beneficial to the city of Mount Pleasant, the applicant, and all of the city of Mount Pleasant residents. Father, we ask as we leave this place tonight that you protect and watch over us as we travel home. Keep us safe, continue to guide and direct our steps. And we ask all these things in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
And let's say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item of business is the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
I second the motion.
Donna Morency motion to approve the minutes.
Lindsay Barrier.
Is Lindsay Barrier seconded the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed, sir. Now I believe we move on to the new business. We don't have any old business.
Okay. So I'd like to thank everybody who's present tonight and representative of the applicant in the audience is engineer and architect involved in the project here. And they'd entertain any questions that the board might have once we get through the presentation of the item on the agenda. And on to that, the item on the agenda is in relation to 101 South Main Street. The proposal is for new construction, second floor addition to existing one-story building. First floor to remain with minor modifications for new stairway to access new second floor. The front facade to be renovated to accommodate new second floor. We reviewed this.
We are being recorded, aren't we?
We are.
Yeah, we need to make notice that this is a public hearing.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
I should have said it when he was saying it. I kind of got lost.
I got you.
Vicky.
Thank you for correcting that. I appreciate it. Thank you for getting on the minutes. On to the certificate of appropriateness that's on the agenda tonight for the board. This was internally reviewed. Also, Lowson Associates, our planning agency, we're on contract with, had some input into the review as well. I also reached out to our counterparts at South Central, along with the Tennessee Historic, and shared this information with them. They had input as well. So it has been thoroughly reviewed. Being the first certificate of appropriateness that's brought before this board, I thought that, that type of detail needed to be thought out and well-rounded and discussed with other parties. So you do have the comments that were sent to the applicant, engineers, and architect. I'll just go over those with the board if y'all will entertain that, and then we can move into discussion with the applicant. Owner applicant Catherine McDaniel, who's not present tonight, submitted a certificate of appropriateness for review on property located at 101 South Main Street, being further identified on tax map 133-0A, Group B, Parcel 12, duly recorded deed book R2502, page 254, on file at Murray County Register of Deeds. Submittal comes before the Historic Commission to be reviewed as an addition to a second story to an existing historic structure located in Mount Pleasant Downtown Historic District. The proposal is to add a second story, including a new facade and first floor renovations as needed to support stated addition. I went on to comment in review, look back at the guidelines, the design guidelines that this board has approved. And the following comments came from that review. The first bullet point is roofs. Do not add elements such as vents, skylights, or additional stories that will be visible in primary elevation. That actually came from our design guidelines. That's in context, design guidelines. The next one, complexity of form. A, in general, use simple rectangular forms for new construction that relate to the majority of surrounding commercial buildings. I indicated on this particular comment, pilasters indicated are not compatible in relation to surrounding buildings, nor are they historically significant. Now, when I go over the revisions that were made, I will address that as such. So I'm glad that the engineer did a thorough job of addressing those comments as well. These are just my comments right now, or my office's comments. So the next bullet point is opening storefront doors and windows. The rhythms, patterns, and ratio of solids, walls, and voids, windows, and doors in new buildings should relate to and be compatible with adjacent facades. B, the size and proportion or the ratio of width to height of window openings in new buildings' primary facades should be similar and compatible with adjacent buildings. C, window types should be compatible with those found in the district, which are typically some form of double hung sash. F, if small pane windows are used in new construction, they should have true divided lights and not use clip-in fake munition bars. I asked the applicant in that comment to provide additional details on windows and doors in relation to manufacturing style, which they did on their resubmittal. You have that as of tonight. The next comment addresses materials and textures. Synthetic sidings are not historic lighting in the historic district, and their use is not recommended. I asked the applicant, engineers, and architect to provide type and profile of proposed siding materials. They did in the revised version that you have situated in front of you. Secondary elevations, upper stories and rear facades are visible from the public realm. Side and rear facades are identified as pressure-treated wood, and no colors or surface treatment is identified. Strongly suggests this material is changed to fiber cement board brick surface. This will reduce maintenance issues and therefore operational costs. Also, color of surface should be identified to ensure compatibility with the adjacent structure and overall historic downtown character. The engineers replied satisfactorily to my office. Of course, I know y'all just received that, but they did supply color swaths indicative of the colors as requested, and they did indicate in further detail the type of material used on the exterior of the structure, and it is not vinyl siding. It is indeed hardy plank. It's been identified as such, and it's in your revision packet there. The next comment addressed the paint, and I just answered that in their revised version. They did send color swaths identifiable. The The last one was side facades are located on 0 lot lines on ground floor. Only the upper story is visible to the public. So great care needs to be taken with the upper story in relation to the historic context because it is visible. 0 lot lines being the sides of the building are not going to be reflected to the public, but that upper story will be. So we want them to take great care in their design of that upper level. So I asked that the Historic Commission give consideration to the following criteria when reviewing this. Number one, the historic and architectural value, the historic and or architectural value of the present structure, the relationship of exterior architectural features of such structures to the rest of the structure in the surrounding area, the general compatibility of exterior design, arrangement, texture, and any other factor including aesthetics, which is deemed to be pertinent. I go on further to say in the staff recommendations that if approved, staff recommends that confirmation and condition, and this came as a suggestion from our representative from the state level, since it is historic. If approved, staff recommends that confirmation and condition of the original parapet existence be reviewed by staff once the vinyl siding is removed to see the condition that the brick hopefully is in. And then if the original parapet exists, this once again is a suggestion from the state, then removal would be especially incompatible with the guidelines. And so in other words, if you're looking at the structure that you got now, they remove that vinyl siding that's on there. I think it's vinyl siding at the top. Remove it from the parapet, which it surrounds. What she, in essence, stated was that it would be especially incompatible with guidelines for that original parapet to be, if the original parapet was in existence, to be, I guess, removed or added to. So that was, like I said, that was just her reference point. However, she went on to say that the commission could work with the applicant to make the changes less visible. For instance, the addition could be set back from the facade and possibly scaled to the same height of the parapets of the adjacent building, and the original first floor doors and windows could be retained. Once again, I reached out to a lot of people in regards to this during my review because it is our first certificate of appropriate. So that came as a strong suggestion from her. That's why I included it in staff recommendations because the original content of that building, even though it may be non-conforming to our historic district, is historic in nature and age. So if the original parapet is there, there might be further consideration that's given into the arrangement of the upper level, either by this board or in the field or in speaking with the construction on site. But you have my comments, and they have successfully, I think, been addressed for the most part. And I'll just quickly go over these in their reply back to the comments. The very first one, the second story roof will not be visible from primary elevation, is what they indicated. There is already a considerable parapet existing on the primary elevation, and they're requesting that this be extended to match the adjacent second story buildings. That was in reference to the roofs, the first comment. Then they go on to say complexity of form. This has been reflected in the proposed design. That was their reply. And then the pilasters that I addressed earlier, once again, they satisfactorily supplied to my office evidence and proof that pilasters are in existence currently and were more than likely historic to the buildings that you currently see in relation to these buildings down
It
here.
looks good.
It does. So they did indicate that, and I appreciate them pointing that out. And then on the opening storefront doors and windows, their reply back to that comment was, we referenced the buildings in the image above, as you see in your packet there. to design our facade. Windows will be similar in style and size to the blue and yellow buildings in the image provided above. Windows, they go on to say the manufacturer, double hung aluminum clad windows or manufacturer of equal quality and style. They added attachments for this board that is in your packet there. On materials and textures, they replied that the building currently consists of vertical wood siding around the entry and vinyl siding above. They're proposing to remove both and see what is beneath. For the existing vertical wood siding, if brick does not already exist underneath, they're proposing this be replaced with a brick facade. And for the vinyl siding based on the surrounding existing buildings in the area of the building itself, they make the assumption that there's existing brick underneath. They go on to say if brick is existing, they will evaluate the condition of the brick, structural integrity, and how best to modify the brick to the proposed design. Additional brick would be added to extend the height of the parapet to accommodate the new second floor. And then the last comment on the secondary elevations. Their reply was no pressure treated wood is specified. The proposed exterior elevations call for 6-inch lap siding. Siding will be hardy plank siding, smooth finish, or another manufacturer of equal quality and style. Now, on that last comment, I do want to bring up a reference or bring up. And he was supposed to send me an email, and I was going to supply it to y'all tonight, and he probably forgot, Mr. Irving, prior to going on vacation. But I did have a phone conversation with him in relation to the plans that he received, just as y'all received, not the ones tonight, but the previous version. And he wanted me to express to the board his opinion. I told him I would do so. His opinion in relation to hardy plank is that it should not be used because it's not historical. Brick is his preference for use in any construction downtown in the historic overlay. So I have expressed that to the board so it can be reflected on the minutes. And that was per our conversation via telephone just shortly before he left. So, like I said, I just wanted to express that to his opinion because I think it matters even though he's not present. He can't vote, but that was his opinion in relation to hardy plank. Because hardy plank wasn't showed on the original, and I told him that our suggestion would be hardy plank siding or brick. And then he reviewed the plans, came back, and that was his opinion on that.
Does he see what's exposed on those buildings now?
I do. I think I agree. I think it's improvement, but that I just want to express his opinion because of
The Breckenridge House, that is hardy plank on there. So we
Okay.
also have it, we already have it in our downtown area.
good point.
And if you take a look at it, it looks really nice, whether it's historical or not. But we already have a building that has the hardy plank on it.
It's a
Yeah, it looks good. I've seen it, yeah.
That's in the.
I appreciate you
downtown area.
pointing that out because I didn't know it was hardy plank. I never looked at the building.
Yeah,
in
that's what
detail.
it is.
Okay, well, very good. So that's all I have to present to the board. It's the board's decision during this review to either approve as presented, approve with recommendations for changes, with conditions for changes, or disapprove this certificate of appropriateness based on everything that's been presented by both staff and engineer and architect that are present. And they welcome any questions, any concerns that the board might have. I spoke with them shortly before the meeting. They are here to represent their design. So if y'all don't have any questions for me, I'll gladly step aside and let the board do what the board is supposed to do.
Big thanks to the architects for providing all of this, for
Yeah.
historic zoning committee purposes. This is extensive. I love it.
Yeah, well, thank you for putting your homework in too. I mean, granted, that's part of the job, but I mean, we have, everybody here has a vision. Mount Pleasant. Used to be a bustling little town back in the day. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, yeah, way back.
Yeah,
and
when
then it
that got back.
died. Now we're trying to bring it back.
Learned a lot about the history. It's pretty cool.
I have a couple questions.
Can I interject just one
Sure.
thing, and I'll sit
Yeah,
down and let
sure.
y'all take control before I forget. This actually goes to the Planning Commission as a site plan on October the 12th. They will review it as design because they are our sitting design review commission as well. They will be looking at architectural details and different things that this board would look at. But I just wanted to let everybody know that this is the first review for this particular applicant because it does have to go for the planning commission as well.
Kristen Newton, TKC Architecture and Engineering. So we're representing Catherine McDaniel for this project.
Yeah, I just have a couple questions. On this page right here, because I was over there today looking, this column, at least down here, does not exist. So, because the building isn't symmetric, it's not symmetrical, the front of it. So I'm sure that you've seen that, but
Right.
just so that doesn't exist, I don't know how you would.
I think, yeah, we'll have to look, we'll address that and
Okay.
make sure. But I think we were thinking that either we can shift it or just work through, how that would work with the.
Yeah, because that's an infill building, so both
Right.
buildings on either side were standalone buildings, and this is an infill, and I think they just kind of stuck it in there however they
Yeah.
could. But, I wish it was there because it looks really good, but,
So we might just have to shift everything a little bit to accommodate that. So
and my other concern were the aluminum windows. Are they a painted aluminum or?
So it just means aluminum clad, so they're actually wood windows, and what it's just they wrap the exterior in aluminum, and that's like the way most windows are made now,
Right.
just as a way to protect the wood, so it's longer lasting. The color is embedded in the material, so it's not going to fade, and it just is much more.
So it's not those cheapy aluminum windows?
No, these are very nice.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
When I talked to Catherine today and she told me, but I just wanted to double check it.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm the Main Street director, and I just want to tell you, I love this, and I'm so excited about what's going on in there. I understand the upstairs. We need places for people to live in downtown. That's part of the renovation of downtown. So I love the fact that it's residents upstairs. I think maybe she's thinking Airbnb or something like that.
Right.
It's great. It's good for our downtown and any improvements. I spoke to the Greens next door today, and they were thrilled with what you plan to do there. So that's just my opinion.
Yeah, they've been fun to talk to. They've given us a lot of history.
Yes, they do.
Downtown.
Yeah, I agree that to have residential up top and then the commercial at the bottom is fantastic, and fully agree with Donna on that.
And the stairs are all on the back side, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, with parking in the back.
Correct.
And this may not be, since this is our first one, even, appropriate for what we're discussing. Does it need to be ADA compliant, or we don't even discuss that for historic zoning? Probably not.
And yeah, we do.
The main floor will be. We do have an Airbnb here that is not ADA compliant, because stairs, and I don't know. Also, does it have to be sprinkled?
I don't think so. Based on you might have that. Yeah, I'll let you.
If it's a single, it falls in the context of the building. I know it doesn't fall within the context of the building code. You can look at square footage, you know, at the lower level, considering what that occupancy is, considering the upper level. It's a possibility it could have to be sprinkled. If not, at minimal, you're looking for probably a separation. Correct. Separation horizontally between the living space.
Which they could do because they're putting in another floor. That's probably, because I know the other one that we have, the Airbnb we have, they sprinkled it because it would cost too much to redo the,
That's correct.
yeah, so that might be something that you look at.
Yeah.
Structurally, we'll work through that once we get to the building side of things, because, if this gets approved through the historic and receives approval through our planning commission, that following stage would be the design and construction side of it. It's going to be, for me, it's going to be a new venture, because you're looking at existing building code on the lower level, and you're looking at the new code for the upper level, and you've got to make those mesh in some form or fashion. So it's not going to be an issue, but at minimal, there will be a horizontal separation.
Yeah, we've done like an initial code review on it, and yeah, based on the uses with residents above, you typically would have to have at least like an hour fire separation. But I think based on the square footage, I don't think we need a sprinkler, but we'll do another review and make sure that's the case. And then, yeah, it's depending on how we're doing the construction of it. What makes sense.
So then the next thing is the parapet. Is that how you say it? I know that there's no way, even if when you uncover that, if it's in good shape, there's no way for you to add that second story and keep that one that's there. Is that correct?
I think we've talked about that with the client, and then we have had a structural engineer review the building. We've pulled, out ceiling tiles and opened some walls up to really understand what's happening there. In his opinion, it's with the siding being on top of it, we just don't know what the condition of that brick's going to really be. Like if it has water been getting in there and eating away at it or not. There are ways he felt that we could add to it and keep it there if we had to. It's just more extensive from a structural design standpoint, but not impossible. So, that's what we're going to approach it as, is keeping it and adding on and modifying. But that's why we said, if we pull that siding off and that brick is just falling apart, then we'd want to address that and see if it needs to just be rebuilt.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the next question I had already. Because that building is 1.5 stories. So how much above the roof line that is there now are you planning on going?
I think we're kind of guessing because we couldn't measure that parapet ourselves. So we kind of decide what was there, but I think we'll be modifying it by 4 to 5 feet.
Okay.
It's roughly that, and we kind of based that on the building that's like 2 doors down. So you can I think you can kind of see it in one of those.
You can.
And so it'd be just that much more.
She's talking about Kinzer Pharmacy. And just so you know that we just received a grant for the facade improvements, and that building they've initially applied to be part of that and remove that awful aluminum that's on there. So, and that is brick. So I think when you look at it, if you look at it, and it'll be 2 stories and 1.5, I think, and then 2 again. So I think it'll flow right when you look at it.
Yeah.
And especially with the windows, the way that you're doing.
Okay. Yeah, we felt like with some of the parapets being so tall, it's not like this drastic change to the street elevation. Right. Yeah.
Okay, I'll be quiet.
Back to what Donna was saying regarding the aluminum, which you're just saying will possibly wrap and seal and things. On the page 13 of the packet, not the plans, is the one in red what you're proposing?
That's the hardy plank siding that would go on the side.
That's not the one.
And the back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that one does kind of look like aluminum, so that's in the back.
Yeah, it's hard, a picture's hard, but it's a fiber cement board product. So it's, you see it a lot on like new construction of homes and stuff, but we like the smooth finish because then it just kind of goes away and with the paint color and the sides of the building really won't be that visible. I mean, maybe partially, but that's not what you're gonna, I feel like, really.
And that's also in the back, right?
In the back,
Okay.
correct. Right. Which most of the buildings in the back are like CMU block.
Okay, it's gonna be on the top slats and it's gonna be in the back
Yes, ma'am,
at the top.
at the top. Yeah, we have CMU on the back, on the first floor now, and we would be adding siding to the second floor.
I love the colors.
Yeah.
I do too.
The client picked them out, Catherine picked them out. Yeah.
Love it, yeah.
Dark Knight is
I
really
know.
beautiful.
I love the colors.
I mean, you look at the back and anything's an improvement. This is gonna be a great improvement. I mean, it looks like crap back there. There's gonna be a real lot about it.
When you really hope the buildings
Yeah,
next
yeah,
to
High
it
school is
with
just
the
a spray
facade grant
can.
things will blend in because this will stand out.
They're
you know.
definitely, the greens are definitely doing into their building.
On the back, it's gonna be a balcony or just gonna be a rail across there?
There'll be actually a porch you can walk out onto in the back.
I mean, I don't.
Does anybody have any additional questions?
Yeah, it's-
No, sir.
I've been impressed with the plans, and I think it'll be a nice addition for Mount Pleasant. So I'll make a motion that we approve these as presented.
We have a motion from, oh,
Yeah.
never mind.
I'll second it as well.
So can I make a suggestion just real quick? In your motion, Mr.
Yeah,
Dodson,
go ahead.
if you would include at least some verbiage from staff comments that you received, staff recommendations.
Sure.
And that's on the initial comments that I sent to y'all. If you would just include some verbiage that's historical in context, that so we have reasoning behind the board's decision
Sure.
on making that motion. And that way it goes record. We asked the planning commission to do the same thing. in our
Sure.
design.
So we basically changed that motion to accept this based on the changes that have been addressed as presented by our staff.
And according to the historical guidelines?
Yes, according to historical guidelines. And I make a motion that we accept this.
We have a motion from Mr. Dodson to accept the plans for 101 South Main Street with the staff recommendations incorporated, and it's in accordance with a review of our Historic Zoning Commission guidelines for downtown. I have a second.
I second the motion based on the submission and the staff comment that we accept this plan as presented before it goes to the planning commission.
We have a second
Yes, sir.
from Ms. Barrier. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is impressive. We appreciate it. And I agree with Donna. We love the colors.
Yeah, great colors.
The back's going to be nice change too.
Oh. You just don't know how excited.
Is it dark night or green or black or blue?
It's your turn.
Okay,
It's your job. You're gonna wait for them.
yeah,
So,
one of the neighbors, I think,
I guess I need to make a
it's in
motion
her house.
that we adjourn
I
that
need to
meeting.
go by there
Staff
and look at
comments
it.
real quick. Sure, staff comments.
Staff comments?
I just wanted to bring it to the board's attention that I'm working on the COD application. It should be going for the city commission this month. There's still a couple of resumes that I am waiting on. I need those in the documentation that actually goes off. So I need those as soon as possible. The ones that haven't filled out resumes, please get them to me as quickly as possible. I'm trying to make a deadline for the,
I think I did mine.
I did.
Thank you.
It's really easy.
So if you could just send that to me as soon as possible, and that way, because that actually goes in the packet that's sent off to the state, And I'd like to get it through the first go around and not have any replies back in their review of that application. So I'm very appreciative of everybody that's sent that and all the hard work that this board has put into the design guidelines, the historic overlay. I think this was a good meeting, good first meeting. I think everybody paid attention to the details that were presented. And yeah, just as soon as you can get those resumes to me, that would be great, so I could get that on the city commission's agenda. Thank you.
Get your resumes in. ASAP.
With a motion.
With that, any additional comments? Comments? Can I make a motion that we adjourn?
We have a motion from Mr. Dodson to adjourn.
Second.
Ms. Morency, seconds. All in favor?
Thank you all.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
You guys are.